Well, just like we did about a month and a half ago, we have a video within a video because I've already recorded the roundup yesterday, and then last night, the big news coming out that OpTic Techs are making a roster change after all. Mercules is going to be into the team. Obviously, a lot of OpTic fans wanted him after his amazing performance at Toronto Ultra at Major F3 at LAN. He's now going to be in the roster. Apparently, they wanted to bring him in last week, but they just weren't able to do it in time, so they had Skies on the roster. Um, Obviously, Sky's had his best series statistically against Vancouver Surge, but OpTic have decided to go for Mercules. I mean, look, the last time they went for a player that was in challengers, obviously Dan Ghosty, it worked out really well. Obviously, they didn't win anything, but look at Ghosty now. You know, he's part of the super team, and rightly so. He had a good year last year with Thieves. But yeah, I'm really happy for Mercules. I think he's going to be a good addition to the team. Now, all I'm going to say is when we talk about OpTic's series against Surge, I might mention, OpTic obviously didn't make a change. Maybe it was for the better. You're going to have to just kind of throw all that out of the equation. Now, I still think I did predict OpTic to obviously win both of their series this weekend because they're playing Boston Breach and Carolina Royal Ravens. I expect them to win those series still as well because I think Mercules is going to offer a lot more. As well, obviously not having two main ARs on the team will help a lot because obviously Mercules is a flex. Obviously, if Mercules has a really good stint here, Major 4, Champs and EWC, keep him for next year. If I don't, because I still think it was a bit unfair that Ghosty got dropped after MW3, but MW2, sorry. Obviously, I know it worked out in OpTic's favour in the end, but I still think it was a bit harsh. Um, So yeah, OpTic obviously were targeting him for Skies as you'd expect, and it was already announced pretty quickly. So I'll just show you this clip here.
I'm Mason. I'm just here to play some Call of Duty.
Obviously, it means that he can't be. He's not going to be in the Rookie of the Year debate. It's between Rencor and Super now. I think it'll be Rencor because obviously Rencor's done it all season. So it's not really a race. But obviously, he's currently fourth in my ladder. He was fourth before this episode anyway. He could get himself in the top three with a good performance at Major 4, but I mean, it's a great opportunity for him. I mean, it was ridiculous he wasn't on a roster anywhere, but after coming third, sorry, with Toronto Ultra, but yeah, he's on the team now. Really good addition. I think I'm really excited to see OpTic play their last 4 online qualifiers and Major 4 Champs EWC. Really looking forward to it now. Hopefully OpTic can at least get a top 6 at the LAN. I mean, look, I expect OpTic to get winners bracket based off their matches. If they get winners bracket, they have to win their first winners bracket match because they lost to Miami and Boston in their only winners bracket matches this season. So unfortunately, Skies has been benched, but I think it was for the right reasons. Good luck to the boys. Should have played it. Good luck to the boys, and Mercury should have played better. So it's on me. So it's interesting that OpTic have actually benched Skies because they released Kenny and they released Pred, but they have benched Skies. Now, that could just be a contract situation where Skies' contract runs out at the end of the season. I believe that Kenny and Pred actually had an extra year after this season regardless, like not even a team option. But hopefully Skies can still make some content with OpTic. But he's had a really rough year. And he was quite poor in last year's game as well. I know they obviously won Major 4 and got to Champs Final, but um, yeah, I just don't think it's really worked out for Skies this year. He got the opportunity to be on OpTic, it hasn't worked out. And yeah, OpTic need results, so I don't blame them for going this way. Now, obviously, this is only based off 5 series, so obviously it's a very small sample size for Mercules. But obviously, these were his stats on the LAN. I mean, that control KD is really good. I believe that he's 19. I don't know how old Mercules is, but he's a young player. And I mean, these stats are pretty good. Um, he played 6 matches actually, because he played that Miami game, which was the only game he went negative in. So these were his stats for these series. You can see his control very strong against Surge when they lost against the mates. It was very good. And his hard point seems to be pretty good as well. So I think this is going to be a good addition, but obviously, except Vancouver Surge, he hasn't really played a top team. I get that Miami Heretics are decent, and obviously he did okay in both of those series, but obviously Surge was the first big team that he played, and yeah, he played well in the control, but his S&D was a bit rough. His hard point was a bit meh. But I think that he's got a lot to learn. But I think that if OpTic stick by him, this is going to be a really good pickup. Now, I get that there's not really that much time left, of course, and these are the last 4 games OpTic have. I expect them to comfortably beat the Gentlemates. I expect them to beat Royal Ravens and hopefully beat Breach. Toronto Ultra will be an interesting one, but I hope that OpTic can at least give them a competitive series, because realistically, it would be really good if OpTic could get towards like Ultra's level with this addition to the team. You know, or even just outside the top 4, maybe like 5th, 6th best with Miami. That would be at least an improvement. But we'll have to see how this works out. I mean, OpTic played well against Surge, so they have to show that it wasn't just a one-off result. Now they've got a new player in the team. Obviously, Ultra's a pretty easy team, I would say, based on the outside look to you know, step into. I feel like that's definitely a team you could just step into, and you know, Insight and Kleenex is probably one of the best duos in the league that you could start off with, in my opinion, because of how calm and composed they are. They always have been. But yeah, this is a really good pickup for OpTic. I'm glad that they've done this. I wanted them to make a change, but I understood why they didn't originally. But apparently they wanted to do it last week. They just weren't able to. Let's see what he can do for the rest of the season. And like I said, if he plays well and OpTic were able to, you know, do something at one of these next 3 events, hopefully OpTic will keep him. Obviously, I've talked a lot about wanting Sib. Would I still want Sib? It all comes down to how MERCULES plays. If MERCULES plays good, why not just keep him for next year? Because this guy has been good in other games as well, like last year in challenges. I mean, you look at some of his challenges stats here, by the way, like he drops some very good stats. But this guy is very good. Is a very good player, and yeah, I'm looking to see what OpTic can do here. But I had to add this bit into the start of the video. Obviously, I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. It's funny that both times I've done this has been an OpTic change, because they've both been pretty surprising in terms of just out of nowhere. So thanks very much for watching this part, of course. I will now obviously let Tuesday's Spud take over the video. Bye for now. Enjoy the video, of course. It's a good episode, I think. What's going on, guys? Spud here, and welcome to episode 43 of the Roundup. In today's episode, the first online qualifiers of Major 4 begin with OpTic getting a huge 3-0 win against Vancouver Surge, where Minnesota Rocker lose a Game 5 Round 11 against the Vegas Falcons. Toronto Ultra, Miami Heretics and Atlanta FaZe have a very good start, all going 2-0, whilst our Major 3 champions, LA Thieves, lose both matches. We're also going to be looking at all of the other matches across this week. It's Call of Duty scene, and also our predictions for next week, with the race for champs starting to fade away for Minnesota Rocker. We're also going to be looking at the Cloud9 roster changes, because there was obviously a couple of roster changes going into this match, which we missed off last week's episode. And also some Counter-Strike news, as the former GOAT, you could now argue, Simple, is back on a team for a major, and it's FaZe Clan. It is crazy. Simple is on FaZe on loan from Vitality, which we're going to talk a little bit about, and Brokey being on the bench. Rain is a doubt. They've brought in Skulls as a substitute. The whole FaZe situation going into IEM Dallas and the Austin Major is kind of crazy, so we've got a lot to talk about in that department as well. Not apartment. If you are new, please do like this video and subscribe. Of course, we'll be doing our MVP ladder and Rookie of the Year ladder as always for Call of Duty. We will do that at the end of the video. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the action. And we are going to start here with Atlanta FaZe versus Surge. What a game to kick us off this weekend. And it was a 3-2 win here for the boys in red. Atlanta FaZe. It was a very good series, this. Nasty and 0-4 had a bit of a rough one. This is the only reason why Nasty isn't in my top 10 for MVP, is just the inconsistency. Whereas obviously a Boozer and Neptune played a good series here. Simp, who has actually been relatively underperforming in Major 3, had a really good series here. Some of the player cards came out from Breaking Point, and like Simp only had a 76 rated card for a split, which might be his lowest ever card. One of the cards I was really surprised about was Real, who I had in my top 10 in the MVP ladder, with only a 67 at Major 3. But sometimes these cards don't mean everything. I mean, like Dashi had a 90. And I mean, look, I know Dashi's a great player. I think he's a top 5 AR. But in recent years, he's probably a top 3 AR in the game, top 4 AR. Um, but obviously OpTic aren't playing well. But yeah, this was a good series though, if we actually look here. It was a Neslo by the FaZe boys, 2-3-5. The hard points were, I mean, look, if there wasn't really any close maps here, it was a pretty straightforward series in terms of who won each map. No drama, and yeah, I expected this to be a good match. I think I had FaZe edging this. I can't remember if I said 3-2 or not, but it was a really good series to kick off the split. And then we had Carolina Royal Ravens versus Toronto Ultra. And obviously Carolina Royal Ravens yet to win with their new roster. And after this match, it continued to be the same. This one was a 3-1 win for Toronto Ultra. Obviously, a round 5 in the control, a round 11 dealership win for the Ravens. Beans had a really rough series on his return, and people are going, oh, he should be dropped and stuff like this. A bit of a rough one from Ben Beans. On the other side, though, Dylan Rex actually was the best player on the Ravens team, and that's good to see from Dylan Rex, because obviously he's been put in a bit of a, not a difficult situation, but obviously replacing Vivid when they were, doing okay. The Ravens second half of the season has been very, very poor. I would argue they're probably the 10th best team right now. But obviously they're still going to comfortably make champs. Kleenex was voted MVP here, I believe, with the 1.2 KD. He had a very good week of Call of Duty, did Kleenex. But I think Insight and Draw Deceives also had a good series here. We'll show you the round 11 here on the dealership because, oh yeah! Do you know what? Sometimes when I do the roundup, because we normally record these on Tuesdays, because funny enough, I seem to never be at work on a Tuesday, which is fine. Obviously, if like Monday or Wednesday, whatever day, I'd record it on one of those days normally, unless it's like one where it's not hasn't been in a Call of Duty, and then I can do that on the weekend. But I forgot how good this round 11 was. Enjoy this; it's really good.
That front line is getting a little shaky now for the Ultra Boys. Have to pull back. Picks, the trades, we're in the site. Rex dancing, staying alive. TJ and Rex, what a play. They stay in the play and they get things rolling, Chance. Opportunity now for the win. They gotta have the bomb now. They have to have this bomb. Slide now. Tej gets another big one. 1v1. Time on the clock. Gwyn sends it. Beams runs for his life, and that could be it. I think it was I think Ultra. Nobody knows. I think Ultra got it. What a round! 0.2. The Ravens.
And honestly, that was so close. Beans, I don't think Beans made a mistake. You see, he tried to run. Gwyn knew he had to run. I would have loved to have seen Gwyn's point of view. I would have loved to have seen Gwyn's point of view there, but I don't think that was actually shown. So, which is a bit of a shame because I'm assuming he probably had to dive to get the kill. But if Beans had just got away a second later, it would have been a 3-0 Toronto Ultra series. But yeah, Beans, like I said, had a pretty rough one. I mean, his map 1 was bad. Yeah, he went negative every single map. But look, Beans has played well this year. I think people have forgotten that because of one major where he didn't play. But obviously they got top 3 at the major before. I thought they were going to get top 3 at this major anyway. But obviously Mercules has done pretty well because I thought they might get top 12 after he entered the roster. It's crazy he's not on a roster though, isn't it? Like, I don't understand it. Like, seriously, it's ridiculous. And then we had one more match to finish off our Friday matches, and this was actually do you know what? Honestly, going into this, I think I predicted Cloud9 because they hadn't announced the roster changes yet. But honestly, when it got to the day, I thought Falcons were going to win. And apart from the dealership, this was a pretty close series, but it was a 3-0 for Cloud9 with the 2 new players on the team, which we need to talk about. Because one of them, it was leaked he was going to be potentially joining, which was Capsidal. So originally, it looked like they were going to sign Craze, who was on Omit for Mac. That fell through, or didn't happen. They ended up going for Capsidal instead, who's obviously played in the CDL a lot before. Last year was on Boston Breach for the first split. 2 years before that, he was on the Florida Mutineers. Sort of pretty good pickup, I would say. The other one, though, was not announced. There was no rumours or anything, but Attach has been dropped, which I think was the right decision. I actually think he might retire now and do content creating after this season's done, but we'll have to see. But Spartas came in here. And you know what? Capsidal and Spart played well, especially Capsidal here. But they played really well, Cloud9 here. But again, they're 40 points off OpTic, in who are 8th in the 8th seed at the moment. So they're gonna need to win a couple more online matches and probably get a top 6, top 4 here. But they're not out of it yet. I mean, I've just recorded the RoundUp Extra. Make sure to subscribe to the RoundUp Extra. We've finally done another video on it. We talk about Minnesota Rockers Ice. It's non-existent. We're gonna look into that as well during this video. But I mean, Spart had a really good map 1. On the other side, though, I mean, a bit of a rough one from everyone. I guess Pred got a neutral KD, but nobody played well really on this Vegas Falcons side. And realistically, we knew Falcons weren't going to make champs. It's now impossible for them to make champs because OpTic beat Surge. But this roster definitely looks better than the other one. And you know, at least OpTic aren't the only team to lose to them now, because we start with Saturday's matches with an absolute banger of a series. Minnesota Rocker versus Vegas Falcons. It looked like it was going to be an absolute 30-minute series after the map 1, but Vegas Falcons beat the Minnesota Rocker. And it was a great series from the SMGs. Exnid and Pred played well here. On the other side, I genuinely would like to say that everyone played well on the Minnesota Rocker side, but they did not win the series, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is the second win that Vegas Falcons have got. They win it in a round 11 fashion. This was huge for OpTic. So obviously I was cheering on the Falcons, and Arcites did the winner's circle interview after with the desk. I loved it because he was like, he just said, "Oh yeah, OpTic fans, give me 5, like gift him 5 subs next time he's live for helping OpTic make champs ultimately." Really good series this. We'll show you the round 11. It was 5-4 at one point as well. It was a nice comeback here from the Falcons, but let's show you this round 11.
Absolutely obliterating. He's killing real fast, bro. 13-7 now. Round 11. In a big round 11, the scheme of things in the year. Oh, it's a hard counter. We're going. How do the trades work out? It works out for Falcons. It's all on Ken. Of course it is. No way. Wow. Well, he already pulled off an ace in 1 round. Can he pull off a 1 versus 3?
Bomb. They're just on top of the bomb.
Oh, I hear you. No, this is not looking good. Falcons had the chance to play spoiler.
You know, Rocker did a round like that. I'm surprised they're not ready for something like that.
Get some damage in.
Good need. But yeah, he's by himself. Hi.
Nothing he could do. Oh my god.
Every time that they win a series, Pred's camera freezes, but yeah, happy of course for Exnid. And yeah, I assume that Falcons are probably just going to keep the same team for Esports World Cup, unless there's obviously some players that potentially get dropped. But obviously going into next season, the next roundup extra, we'll probably talk a bit more about it. But obviously Vegas Falcons 2026 roster, I think Exnid and Pred will be on it, but I think the other two players will be different. But do you know, if Exnid is not on the Vegas Falcons roster next year, I think he's clearly shown he's good enough to be on a team. So I think that I think he'd get onto a roster regardless now. I would argue that all four of the Saturday, it was genuinely one of the most surprising Saturdays we've had in a while, because in my opinion, the underdog won in every single match. Nobody saw a Ravens 3-0 with how they've been playing recently. No one did, I'm sorry. But they do win it here 3-0. Really nice series from Dylan Rex. And yeah, well done to Dylan Rex. He's obviously going to have moved up on the MVP ladder a little bit after this. Sorry, no, the Rookie of the Year ladder. Because obviously he's had a pretty good weekend here, statistically. Snoopy had a good series. Awakening had a rough one. -24. That's rough. I'll show you the end of this hard point on Skyline because it was a very close series. But honestly, Breach should have won this, but TJ Halley did clutch up here.
Just with enough time. Boston, though, they put themselves in perfect position. 10 seconds away. They win match 1. So Chow from Wake traded out. Not a problem. Purge now. Gonna go back at it as well. You can technically win it there still. It was within the realm of possibility, but a lot have had to happen. Looking for the new hard point as well. Boston read the big pinch spawn. Now over the time we go. Purge can win a couple of big gunfights. Damage across the board. Oh my word. Purge the second. Not enough for the last man. And the last man is going to be Tej.
That was superb from Purge. If they won the map, it would have been thanks to that two-piece.
10 to win. Hold it down. There's number 1. Line him up. Number 2 in his sights. The multi-kills on Kitchen. Tej has been dominant in Boston. They collapsed. That is game number 1. They didn't even make it to the time. What a brilliant.
Yeah, superb from TJ there. And yeah, well done to Ravens. You know, I'll be honest with you, I was going to put Ravens on the thumbnail. But I ended up changing my mind and going for Toronto Ultra instead because they went 2-0. And do you know what? I was going to have Beans on it. I wanted Beans and Insight together, but honestly, that Insight image that I've got, that I managed to find after they beat Miami in Major 3 in the losers bracket, I thought was pretty cool, to be fair. So, but obviously, I haven't done a Ravens one since after they've came back after Christmas and New Year break. So yeah, I've only done one Ravens thumbnail all season. So it might have to be something that we look at doing if they have a good weekend next weekend. And then to carry on the shocks of the Saturday shocks, let's call them. Do you know what? Honestly, I put money on OpTic winning because I just had a feeling there were basically 3.2 to 1 basically. So they were not the favourites at all. They were massive underdogs going into this. But I just had a feeling OpTic were going to have a really good series here, and I was completely correct. Everyone was absolutely brilliant. OpTic played a superb series. It's the best OpTic I've looked in a long time in a single series. Look, they'll probably lose both matches next week, but they were brilliant this series. I mean, Nasty had a 0.53. None of the maps are really that close. I guess that maybe the first hard point was a little close. OpTic kind of threw it a little bit to make it less than 100-point difference, but yeah, really good. I mean, Skies actually went positive as well, people. That's the first time he's gone. That's his best KD of the season, 1.24. Obviously, you know, a lot of OpTic fans were not happy to hear that they were sticking going into Major 4. They obviously wanted MERCULES in, but at the same time, look, OpTic should make champs now, especially with this result and Rocker losing to Falcons. But even if OpTic made a change, they're not going to win champs anywhere. You know, they've finished top 8 at every event so far. On land, they've been horrific. Realistically, it would be nice for OpTic if they could get a top 6 here, just so it's at least an improvement. But if they could get a top 4, I mean, they got top 12 and then won champs, so you just don't know. But if we look at each map here, I mean, Nasty went 22 and 41 in the first one, whereas Shotzzy went 48 and 32. So he was so good in that first map, and he did get MVP because of that first map. Hugh had a really nice S&D, whereas Abuza had a really rough one. And then on the control, Hugh 28 and 18. Yeah, honestly, OpTic really good here. And if we actually look at the vetoes, so it was expected that You know, I was surprised to see Skyline in the map pool, to be honest, for OpTic. But they played it really well. And then obviously they picked 2 and 3. Now, obviously, if you're not aware as well, Rewind Hardpoint has been added in for Protocol. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, honestly, this was a really good series from OpTic, and yeah, I'm very, very impressed. They almost with a thumbnail because of how impressive they were. But we said that there was a lot of that Saturday, every match the underdog won. Miami Heretics, obviously they're a very good team right now. I would argue at this moment in time that Heretics are probably the 5th best team, behind FaZe, Thieves, Ultra, and Surge. But Heretics here win 3-2 with a round 11 win against LA Thieves. And, I mean, we have to talk about Super. My Rookie of the Year prediction, if he'd played the entire season, he'd be Rookie of the Year. He could still be Rookie of the Year, but I think Renkor's got enough to win that. But what a series this was. Yeah, well done to the Heretics here. Super though is the one we have to talk about, because look at these S&D stats. 12 and 5 on map 2, but map 5 he went 16 and 4. His teammates got 19 kills between 3 of them, and he got 16 on his own. He carried them to that S&D win, which will show you the round 11 now. But Real had a really nice round 11 here as well, which helped them win.
Of hedges now over towards A, the immediate wrap. Heretics are there. Bomb plant.
Bomb down as well. This is perfect for the 3v3. They're trying to take streets, scrap, rip straight core, 2v3. Real trades it out.
Oh my word, to 2v2 and a wide spread now from the Thieves. Hydra goes through Diner. Ghosty, he's going to stay hedge side. The clock ticks. Thieves making moves. They're inside. Last man. 1v1. They're both on the inside. 15 seconds to go. Super, have you done it? Have you given the win? Spots them out. Super. A roar from the...
He did a 360 as well, but yeah, really good series there from the Heretics to win that. But Super has to get the credit. I mean, he went absolutely mental in the S&Ds. Yeah, you know, in the respawns, I mean, he was good in... I mean, he got double positive in map 4. His map 1 was bad, but apart from that, he was superb this series. And yeah, well done to the Heretics. I mean, look, I don't know where Heretics are going to... I think they'll probably finish 5th seed now. I don't even know. I've got the standings after we've looked at all the rest of the matches on the Sunday matches, but yeah, honestly, really impressed with the Heretics since Super came into the lineup, because they actually hadn't won many series. Yeah, Rencor and Real had been playing good. Lucky wasn't playing good. Metals is very inconsistent, but like Heretics weren't looking in a great place, even though they'd got a top 3 at Major 1. But now they look very, very good and are probably the 5th best team in the league. But they did have to Neslo the LA Gentlemates, which, you know, Gentlemates have won 3 online qualifiers all season. Unfortunately, they couldn't get this one over the line. They end up losing 6-0 in the S&D. If we look at the stats, I mean, I think Real and Super were the best players here. Rencor and Metals played alright as well, though, to be fair. On the other side, Kismet 100 kills. Luna's played alright as well, you know. We don't really talk too much about Luna's, because I know he's a rookie, but he hasn't really set the world on fire, you know. But he actually had a good series here. But yeah, this was the S&D at the end was... I mean, Johnny did get a donut. He went 0-6, whereas Real went 9-3. But yeah, honestly, it was just that the S&Ds were really, really dominant from the Heretics, whereas LAG have had a really bad game 5 this season. They can still statistically make champs, but I think they have to win 4 matches and win the event. Falcons are out of contention. It's very, very soon that the Gentlemates will be. And you know what? I do feel bad for the organisation because their fans were unreal at Major 1. I really hope we get another event in Europe next year. But let's be honest, they've been very, very bad. They've actually been probably... No, they have just been around the same as Boston Breach last year. But yeah, not ideal. Definitely not ideal. And then we had got Cloud9 New York versus Toronto Ultra. I expected this to be a good series. I did not expect, though, the Cloud9 New York to take the first map, but after that, it was pretty smooth sailing, I would say, for Toronto. Beans had himself a good series here. Everyone was playing well on that Ultra side. But Kleenex, again, you know, we talked about Kleenex's performances this weekend. Him, Super, Celium, you know, the players that played 2 series, those were the 3 standout players for me that played 2 series. On the other side, Sib. Whenever Sib plays bad, Cloud9 play bad. Capsule did okay, most damage on the team, most kills on the team, and went positive. But yeah, I mean, look, Cloud9 need to be winning every game. You know, they're on 115 CDL points, the same as the Minnesota Rocker. OpTic are now 40 points ahead of them. Obviously, Cloud9 have 1 less online qualifier as well. But obviously, Rocker losing to Falcons. I mean, Rocker's next match is against Gentlemates. They have to win that. But we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, Ultra look good. You know, I expect them to be getting Championship Sunday, Major 4 as well. And obviously, you know, I expect them to get top 4 at Champs, but you just don't know what will happen. Obviously, they've had back-to-back top 3s, even with the emergency substitute in the team. If you guys watched the roundup last week, if you remember my predictions, I said I'm going to go for it. Do you know what? I'm going to go for it 3-0 LA Thieves. I got the 3-0 part right, but the wrong team. I mean, look, no one really saw a 3-0 coming regardless. That's why I thought it was a bit of a shock prediction, but I had it going Thieves' way, not FaZe. Celium shows why he is the best player in the league. I know he had the 3rd most damage on the team, but he went a 1.95 with a plus 35, 72 and 37. This is why he is the best player in the league and will rightfully deserve the MVP for Black Ops 6. Simp, though, who we talked about, has been pretty rough the last couple of stage 3, and obviously had a good series against Surge, but 0.73 with like 6,000 damage. Really rough series from Simp, but they won't mind because they've beaten Thieves and Draza will be happy. But yeah, this was the S&D was relatively close, but this was so dominant. I mean, if we look here, Celium went 39 and 17 in map 1 and went 26 and 16 in map 3. And 7 and 4 in the S&D. I mean, what can they say, really? Envoy had a bit of a rough one here. 0.78. But look, everyone played bad on the Thieves side. No, but you can't go and say, oh, anyone played well on the Thieves side. They all went negative, and they got absolutely slammed by FaZe. But yeah, well done to FaZe, because obviously we know that Thieves are typically better online than FaZe, but FaZe are typically better online. I know obviously FaZe got top 6 last event, Thieves won it, but over the 3 splits anyway. That's how it's been. So, it's now time to do our standings. Look at the standings. So, it's a battle between battle for seed 1. Obviously, they're going to most likely play OpTic, or potentially Boston, depending on what happens in the next few weeks. But it's FaZe and Thieves are tied on 4-10. FaZe currently have the advantage at the moment. And then Ultra in 3rd. That battle between Ultra and Surge will be interesting. But obviously, Surge going 0-2, Ultra going 2-0 has given them a bit more of a gap. Then it's the battle for 5th. I think Miami Heretics will get 5th seed over the Royal Ravens, but we'll have to see what happens there. Boston are in 7th. Obviously, they lost to the Ravens, but I think they'll still comfortably make champs unless they have a calamity, lose every single game. I don't know if they have to play Minnesota or Cloud9, another play OpTic, so we'll have to see what happens there. OpTic are in 8th, and then it's a tie for 9th between Cloud9 New York and Minnesota Rocker, and then Gentlemates have 30 and Vegas have 20. So, let's do our predictions, and it's a nice start for Heretics. They get to play the Falcons, who aren't even as bad as they used to be, the Falcons, but I'm going to go with a 3-0 win here to the Miami Heretics because the Heretics are in very, very good form right now. I'm expecting a really good series out of Rencor and Super and Real and Metals. They're just going to play good. Boston versus OpTic. OpTic need revenge after what happened online. 3-0 breach it was. I think OpTic look good right now, and I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to OpTic Texas here, which would be massive CDL points. And you know, it would be so big that it would obviously push them towards being potentially 7th seed if other results happen, go their way in the stage. And then we have FaZe Cloud9 to finish off the Friday. Look, I'm just going to keep it simple. No pun intended, because obviously Simple just joined FaZe in CS. 3-0 FaZe. And then we have Saturday's matches. We have 4 matches, including Rocker Gentlemates, OpTic Carolina, which obviously will be interesting for champs. Miami Cloud9 to start with, though. I actually think this will go to a game 5, and I'm going to go with the Heretics to win this and ice up again 3-2, and they will be 4-0 going into their last week of qualifiers. It's crazy how quick the online qualifiers stage goes when there's only 5 matches. I mean, look, if there was another major, 5 majors at Champs EWC, it'd be brilliant. Hopefully next year, but I said that last year. 3-2 Heretics. Rocker versus Gentlemates, I actually think will be a 3-1 win to Rocker. I think Gentlemates will take a map, but Gentlemates are not winning another series this year, let's be real. Then we have the LA Thieves versus the Vegas Falcons. I'm sorry, Falcons, it's going to be a poor weekend. It's going to be another 3-0 here, this time for the Thieves. And the final game on Saturday is the Carolina Royal Ravens versus OpTic Texas, and I actually think this is going to be a bit of a banging series. I'm going to go to a game 5, and I'm going to go OpTic 3-2, and they're going to go 3-0. Now, I'd love that, but let's be honest, it's probably a bit of a biased prediction, but 3-2 OpTic. Ravens, I know they just beat Breach, but they're not in great form, really. Breach then have to play Surge, and both teams would love to get a win here, but I think Surge will have a little bit too much for the Breach. I think Breach might take the S&D or the Control, so I'll go 3-1 to the Surge. And then we have Gentlemates versus FaZe. Do you know what? I'm going to go 3-1. I think FaZe might lose a map here, but yeah, 3-1 FaZe. And then Toronto Ultra versus Minnesota Rocker, a huge match for Minnesota Rocker's chances of making champs. But unfortunately, I think they're going to lose this one 3-1 with, I can see it already, a Joe Deceives masterclass. So, now it's time to talk about CS. It's been a little bit of time since we last did. Simple is back on the scene. So, obviously, Simple was seen as one of the best AWPers, one of the best players of all time in Counter-Strike. You know, people call him the GOAT, even though some people argue it's now Zywoo, who plays in Vitality. Oh my god, I mentioned Simple was on loan from Vitality, didn't I, at the start of the video? I meant Na'Vi. They both got yellow banners, but yeah, obviously Simple was on Falcons on loan for the last major. Didn't really work out. He is going to be on loan. They have decided to bench Brokey, which is a massive, massive decision that FaZe have taken. Now, obviously, if it works, I could see them signing Simple permanently. Yeah, Na'Vi would want a little bit of money, but obviously having Simple on your team as well will bring more interaction and more benefits to FaZe as well. And yeah, it's nice to see Simple on FaZe. You know, he's on a really good team here. Obviously, they don't have Robs anymore, and obviously Brokey's on the bench. But we'll have to see what happens. But now there has been some other news because IEM Dallas, their team is under threat because Skulls has joined as a substitute, the Brazilian player. Because of personal reasons, Rain may be unavailable to attend IEM Dallas 2025. I assume this is going to be played at DreamHack, where the Call of Duty stuff and the Halo stuff is. So what we might do is do the roundup of Major 4, and then we might do another Counter-Strike Halo. We might just do a DreamHack Dallas roundup, to be honest. But yeah, so Rain is unavailable to play. Now it's not bad. It's not bad news. Here it is. His wife is 39 weeks pregnant, and he's called a raindrop is about to pop out. So he needs to be home and take care of the family, which I can completely understand. Hopefully we will see Rain at the hopefully we will get to see Rain at the event. But yeah, congratulations to him and his partner. Not at the Austin Major, sorry, not IEM Dallas. I'm expecting to see Skulls on the roster for that. So it's now time for MVP of the week, and yeah, it could have been Kleenex, it could have been Super, but it has to be Celian. And it's a perfect opportunity to start with the MVP ladder this week because it has not changed no one has changed. I almost moved Rencor up to replace Real, but Real played really well in the S&Ds, map 5s, which win you the matches. So, yeah, top 10 stays the exact same for this week. Obviously, there's only going to be 2 more weeks of qualifiers for it to change, and the major. And then Rookie of the Year ladder, the top 3 has remained the same, but Lunas has overtaken Kicks and gone into 5th, and I've now put Dylan Rex in 7th, ahead of King, Roxas and WXSL. That's going to be the end of this episode of the Roundup though, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Episode 44 will be out next Wednesday, of course. This one will be out this Wednesday, where we see who gets some massive results as the Road to Champs continues. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.